Good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome again to another one of my videos in the series of videos that I'm doing in recognition of Father and what the word Father means to me as a fatherless child and a father myself. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, the surrogate fathers out there, and the expecting fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to you all. As I stated in my earlier videos, I'm taking the letters of this word Father um, on a personal journey and expressing what each of those letters mean to me. So we're doing this from a perspective of fathers against threats, hatred, envy, and retaliation. Today we landed on the H, which is the hatred, and it's a bit of a coincidence that that landed on Father's Day, but we're pressing on because we're not looking at this from a negative perspective, and we hope to, you know, look at this from a positive perspective, take a positive spin to all of the things, even if they're intrinsically negative by themselves. We want to look at this from a positive perspective, everything that we're talking about here. As my own experience as a fatherless child has led me in a positive way to make sure I be a certain type of father that I decided that I am going to be, despite any challenge that I might have faced or is yet to face. So, um, you know, just to recap again, we're acknowledging that we as a Black African family are suffering from post traumatic slave syndrome, over 400 years of dividing the family, separating the father from the mother and the children from the mother and the father. That has taken a deep root into our psyche as a people. And that's the trauma that we want to get over. We want to understand and get over. Now, when we talk about this H in terms of hatred, we're looking at it today from the perspective of the child, right? What sort of hatred that child can develop for not just the father but also the mother, and even other family members. If this child grew up with a resentment for one not being able to grow with that father for whatever the reason is, that hatred can be directed at the father because of any influences that that child might come under in that home where the father is absent, where everything that they are hearing about or learning about the father are coming from folks who have kept the child from the father in the first place. Um, the hatred from the child can be geared towards the mom or whoever else in the household kept that child from the father, especially if the child grew up to know the father or know things about the father and realize why the father was kept away and deem that it's unfairly so. Um, the hatred from the perspective of the mother comes in forms not only as a direct hatred to the father, and that oftentimes takes shape in the sense that maybe a relationship has ended, or you know something, promises broken, any number of reasons, that hatred of the person might develop, and then that seeps into the relationship between the father and the child, because you are hated by the mother, you are now cast aside and spoken of in less than kind terms. um, Hatred also uh, rears its ugly head in terms of the relationship that that child, separated child and father, might develop over time. So, as that child and father gets together, or uh, find each other later on, um, develop a relationship, a bond, a closeness that sometimes irks the mom who wanted to keep them apart in the first place. Um, and then that hatred of that relationship that the father and child has developed rears its ugly head, and actions are starting to be taken against both father and child, just as a means of jeopardizing that relationship that they have developed, that you are now eating on, because you never intended it to happen in the first place. You never intended them to have such a bond, such a relationship in the first place. So when we talk about hatred, we're not talking about going out there and be bitter or despising people, right? We are talking about something that is really happening, whether consciously or unconsciously. It's a part of the trauma that we need to overcome as a people. And in order to overcome this trauma, we have to reconcile with it. We have to deal with what we're calling truth and reconciliation, accepting what is for what it is truthfully, and try to reconcile with it. So, we as fathers are standing up against that hatred from whence it came. Ladies and gentlemen, I do wish that you all have a blessed Father's Day together with your family. If you can't do it together, find some way of including each other in this lovely, beautiful Father's Day. Yeah? Blessed love. Be well.